all our life. What he did today is not for him, Dramani Mahama, I did it for the good Ghana. And that's the most important thing that we must think about.
So the minority was boycotted the nation today.
From the system live in it, selected them. So the house of as of today to resign the monies that the tax has been given must demand it from them because they are not prepared to come together for this country to move forward because of the interest of one person and one person.
We apologize for the poor quality of our transmission there. We will go back to Gifty as soon as we have that problem sorted. But in the meantime, President Mahama has promised to provide quality education and expand access to education at all levels. He intends to reward the education service providers to boost morale and work towards the standardization in school fees. Now, he said the NDC, being a social democrat party, they would put the people first and focus on productive and reproductive capabilities of social grouping. Job creation will be at the core of his priorities.
We will prioritize and expand access to education at all levels. We will aggressively address quality enhancement and outcomes at all levels by putting in place measures to monitor quality of education service delivery, especially teaching and learning at the various levels of our educational system. We will reward outstanding educational service providers to boost morale in the sector and work to improve gender parity in education. We will encourage community participation in the management of schools. We will work towards standardization and affordability in school fees. Mr. Speaker, I extend the hand of partnership to our social partners, the religious bodies, with long-standing roles in the provision of educational services and private sector operators of educational service, to engage in this national reconstruction exercise for expanding access and improving quality of education in Ghana. With specific reference to basic education, we will ensure that every child gets a head start by working effectively and practically to integrate kindergarten education into the existing system. To this end, district assemblies will be required to incrementally build new structures in all existing public schools to serve the needs of kindergarten education. We shall expand training of kindergarten teachers to ensure that our children all over the country acquire basic numeracy and literacy skills before they start primary education. It is also the objective of this government to eliminate the remaining schools under trees by the end of 2016. We intend to enforce compulsory basic school attendance and deepen pro-poor interventions like the distribution of free school uniforms, free exercise books, and free laptop computers. The school feeding program will be progressively expanded to all public basic schools in rural communities to satisfy the basic nutritional needs of our children. Mr. Speaker, we are committed to tackling the greatest challenges facing education at the secondary level in our country. Paramount among these is a lack of access occasioned by inadequate space and facilities for the large number of qualified junior high school graduates. To address the limitations imposed on access to secondary education, we will, over the next 4 years, construct a total of 200 new community-day senior high schools.
We're going back to Parliament House, where my colleague Gifty is standing by. She's speaking with Esiedu Nketia, the General Secretary of the ruling NDC.
You expect what we are witnessing now. So we came and realized that we have a difficulty. We need to invest in generation. And we have not stayed aloof. We have put a lot of investment in generation. We have put a lot of investment in transmission. Again, from the colonial and pre-colonial days, some of the transmission lines have never been maintained. So the type of investment that have gone into the building of new transmission lines, new substations, and so on, everybody knows that within this year, when the results start showing, you will see the difference between MPP and NDC when you talk about power. But but the food is not yet cooked. And that is why they are making all these noises that, what is dumso, and so on. Yes, we understand it. And you appreciate that why? Who caused this dumso? That is what you should be looking at. When you look at the gas pipeline that ran into these problems, during whose time was the implementation of the gas pipeline from Nigeria initiated? How come when they were building this gas pipeline, they did not provide for any insurance? They did not provide for any contingencies against this type of accidents. So if the accidents have happened, and everybody knows that these are accidents, I do not think it is very reckless for a political party that has been in government at that time, instead of appreciating the difficulties, utilizing cheap propaganda and making noise about dumso. We can assure Ghanaians, as the president said, that we are going to transform the energy sector of this country in a major way. And then you will see that, inshallah, if we remain in power for the next 8 years, you see that this problem of dumso will be over.
Before the president, His Excellency, and the vice walked in, we all witnessed what's happened. This is the first time this is happening under the budget dispensation.
Well, it is up to MPP, and I'm happy that Ghanaians were all watching. You are making an argument which the nation thinks is faulty, and you persist in that faulty argument. The nation can only reward you in keeping you in opposition for a much longer time.
Are you worried with the inscription on the sheet of paper to having stealers?
No, I was very happy that they were displaying their lack of understanding of the English language. Because in English, there's nothing like stealers.
Thank you.
Proper English, the Queen's English, there's nothing like stealers. So if you see professors displaying, instead of talking about theft, they are talking about stealers and so on, coining these things from nowhere. I think that it is up to them.
Their boycott has something that will have rippling effects on the government, or perhaps...
Not at all. This is child's play. They boycotted the elections in '92. This nation didn't come to a stop.
Yes.
We went ahead, organized parliament, and passed some of the most important laws that this nation has ever witnessed. And I'm happy that they now go to court with those laws in their armpits, quoting those laws which they claim were being made by butchers and this is. Indeed, the constitution they are carrying. You remember in the process of making the constitution, these same Busia Dankwa people, they boycotted. And the motion to grant Ghana independence, when it was moved by Osajifo Kwame Nkrumah in 1957, they walked out.
Well, that was the General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress, Johnson Esiedu Nketia. Now moving on with the rest of our stories, the president outlined his vision for his first term in office. And here is the 3-point plan.
Mr. Speaker, in my first term as president, I'll focus on delivering on the following, which constitute the vital pillars underpinning our national development program. 1, putting the people first. 2, a strong and resilient economy. 3, expanding infrastructure. And 4, transparent and accountable government. Pillar 1 is putting the people first. Mr. Speaker, as a Social Democratic Party, we put people first. We believe that our people are our most treasured asset, and this is what informs our social development agenda. The thrust of our social policy and human development program revolves around education, healthcare, social security, and protection for the vulnerable, women, children, the aged, and people with disabilities. We will focus on and emphasize the productive and reproductive capabilities of these social groupings, while ensuring at the same time that the most vulnerable in our society are effectively protected. Mr. Speaker, our people need decent and sustainable jobs to lead meaningful lives. Job creation and gainful employment, therefore, will be at the core of my priorities. I'm determined to expand opportunities for all. Our policies and initiatives will be geared towards facilitating sustainable employment generation, which will then facilitate economic growth and enhance incomes. I have directed the Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations to work with the Ghana Statistical Services to produce quarterly labor surveys to inform policy and planning. These surveys will create an accurate database of the unemployed amongst all categories of Ghanaian society and track these on a quarterly basis. It will also ensure that new jobs are accurately recorded and tracked while making it possible to coordinate the various job creation and employment initiatives.
Now we're going back to Parliament, where again my colleague Gifty is standing by ready to speak with some members of the opposition.
Very, very soon. And what do you think about public opinion that you've let down your constituents in things as very important as this one?
Let down?
Let them down in terms of...
On what?
Defending what they feel the true state.
We have made our position clear as a party that anything that is going to evaporate with the presidency, in as much as we're in court contesting the results and the declaration, anything that will evaporate, we will not be a part. Other parliamentary duties which involve oversight duties and all that, as our people have elected us here, we will carry it on.
Okay. Should we expect the opposition in parliament?
Well, that was Adjoa Safo telling us her own impressions.
You heard that was Adjoa Safo, the MP for the Dome-Kwabenya constituency. Now, with all of the controversy surrounding the just-ended elections, President Mahama simply could not have started his address without a mention of that particular subject.
We have come a long way since 1993, when the first president of the Fourth Republic, Jerry John Rawlings, delivered the first State of the Nation address under the Fourth Republican Constitution in this very house. Ghana's democratic credentials were further consolidated with the election of John Agyekum Kufuor and later Professor John Evans Atta Mills of blessed memory. Mr. Speaker, our recent presidential and parliamentary elections have been adjudged by both domestic and international observers as by far the most credible, transparent, transparent, free and fair since 1992. This shows that each step of our democratic journey has been marked by improvements. As Ghanaians, we must be proud of this achievement. Mr. Speaker, the Electoral Commission must take much of the credit for this feat. Since our return to constitutional rule in 1992, the EC has organized 6 successful elections. They have conferred victory where victory was due without fear or favor. They did this in the critical periods of 2000, 2008, and again in 2012. Our Electoral Commission has earned in the process an enviable reputation as arguably one of the best electoral institutions on the African continent.
Now, on the issue of social protection, the President says the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection is not meant to promote gay rights.
It is for this reason we have created the new Ministry for Gender, Children and Social Protection. The ministry is to coordinate and implement the numerous government social intervention programs aimed at the poor and disadvantaged in our society. Let me say again for emphasis that the mandate of this ministry is not to promote gay rights, as some segments of society have sought to portray. We have also taken stock of all the existing social intervention programs and relocated them directly under the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection. This will enable us to develop a more efficient targeting mechanism and eliminate duplication and manipulation of the existing fragmented schemes. The new ministry will have oversight of the Disability Council and will take steps to integrate fully our challenged brothers and sisters in the mainstream of national life. We have shown a commitment to this program by appointing Dr. Dana as a Minister of State.
Now, the President also spent his time on his plans for the youth. But before we listen to that, why don't we listen to the Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection in Parliament.
The IEA debate and even before on infrastructure, on the economy, on governance and accountability, and he elaborated on that. He told us what was existing and then his plans, what he was going to do, what his team was going to do, and he linked that. So it was very comprehensive. I was particularly delighted about my portfolio, of course, and social protection, that we're going to coordinate all the social protection interventions, because we know that the harsh reality is that the poor will suffer as we transform to an upper middle income economy and status. So what sort of interventions are we going to put in place to ensure that we cushion them? And so I was happy when he reaffirmed our coordinating role. I was also happy when he mentioned the issue of rape and defilement, because that is a critical issue for us in our ministry, on how we are going to increase conviction rates and how we are going to ensure that the Ghana police have the forensic equipment to better investigate and prosecute rape and defilement. So I was very, and also the issue of schools and trees, transforming the land, the kerosene to solar lamps, and some of the development projects cutting across, especially for SADA and some of the urban poor areas. So I was very happy with what I read, and I put down a lot of notes and going to work on that.
Well, I know that you are an activist and you have been over the years. Do you think that you're saying all this because you are in a position that aligns you with the president?
I'm saying this because I believe in the president's vision. I have read the NDC manifesto. I have read his statements on his vision. I have looked at the 4 pillars and what he says, and I believe in it, and I believe that we can deliver on this mandate, especially in terms of gender, in terms of persons with disability, in terms of implementing the Mental Health Act.
What do you make of the absence of the minority in Parliament today as a Ghanaian?
Well, it's regrettable that the minority did not attend. And I was happy that in his conclusion, the president talked about the beauty of a diverse Ghana, a Ghana which is diverse on grounds of ethnicity, on grounds of gender, and what have you. And he talked about we building on the strengths that unite us, looking at what unites us. He also talked about the hand of God, and he also made a promise that he will deliver. So I'm asking the minority that this is our country. This country belongs to all of us. And despite our differences, we need to march towards national development, which will transform our economy and which would make sure that every single person in Ghana is empowered and has the basic necessities of life. This is what the MPP manifesto also says, and this is what the objective of MPP also is. So we need to do this together. Thank you.
That was Nana Oyelitha, ending with an appeal to the minority. Now the president spoke about what he intends to do for the youth this coming term.
In order to enable our youth realize their full potential and contribute to national development, we have fashioned out comprehensive programs, including but not limited to a 10 million Ghana cedi Youth Jobs and Enterprises Development Fund, which will be launched to encourage and support young people to become.
President Mahama says government has some plans to curtail the spread of HIV and AIDS.
Mr. Speaker, Ghana has made significant progress towards achieving universal access to HIV prevention, treatment, care, and support services through the implementation of a national HIV and AIDS strategic plan. HIV prevalence has stabilized at 1.5%, with over 25% decline in new infections among our youthful population. In 2011, government committed 150 million Ghana cedis to support the implementation of the new 5-year strategic plan. This has been in addition to government support for prevention and treatment services. With this plan, we intend to achieve virtual elimination of mother-to-child transmission and cut the rate of new infections by half. This year, our national response to HIV and AIDS will require 180 million Ghana cedis to continue with effective implementation of the strategic plan. This funding will enable the Ghana AIDS Commission to enroll over 220,000 people living with HIV on the National Health Insurance Scheme. Some additional 15,000 will be initiated on antiretroviral therapy. Most importantly, over 625,000 expectant mothers will be tested for HIV.
Now, having touched on HIV and AIDS, the address would have been incomplete without the health of the nation. What did the president say about that? Let's hear it.
The relevance of improved health services cannot be overemphasized. It augments investment in all sectors. A sick population cannot generate the productivity needed to maintain the acceleration of our economy. Presently, our healthcare system still has personnel deficits and service deficiencies, despite the facility expansion and human capacity development programs that we have been implementing. In the next 4 years, we'll work towards improving access, service quality, increased personnel, enhanced working conditions across the various professions in the health sector. In furtherance of our plans, we will undertake the following: construction of an ultra-modern new teaching hospital for the University of Ghana Medical School. Start the processes for the establishment of regional hospitals in the Eastern and Upper East regions. We will continue work on the regional hospital project in Wa in the Upper West region. We will upgrade the Central and Volta regional hospitals into teaching hospitals to expand. We will upgrade the Central and Volta regional hospitals into teaching hospitals to expand the scope for training medical doctors and other healthcare professionals. We will commence work on 12 new district hospitals at Dodowa, Abetifi, Fomena, Garu, Kumau, Sekendi, Salaga, Tepa, Wenchi, Madina.
Okay, so now we have some more from Parliament House. Let's go there and see what's happening.
It always appears as if the night is darker before there's light. And for me, that was very significant. Because today, in the face of the energy crisis, water shortages, and all kinds of challenges, people are almost on the verge of despair. And as a leader, he did not run away from that, but he acknowledged it, but redirected the nation and said, we should all rise up, believe in God, believe in ourselves, believe in him as a leader, and working together we'll be able to achieve our objectives. And for me, that was fantastic. Absolutely. We already have a program which we were running. The unfortunate incident with the gas pipeline is what has made the problem more complex. But we've put in place other measures to deal with it. And so within the shortest time, all these issues will be dealt with. And we've given our pledge. What people do not know, even with the water crisis, that as we speak now, the Pong water project is ongoing. This is a project where the pipes that we had since Nkrumah's time, we're changing those pipes to huge, I've forgotten the diameter, but we're putting in bigger pipes that will ensure that there's a faster flow of water in terms of quantity and volume. So all these projects are already ongoing. So yes, we have problems now, but there are already measures in place to deal with the problem. So it's not as if we're now thinking about the solutions. It's just that we have not crystallized with the solution yet. And as the program completes, it will manifest for people to see. The same applies to the energy as well. The various power plants are ongoing. The gas project is ongoing. And once they all come on stream, the energy situation will be improved.
What would you do to the advice of you to penalties?
I think I'll go and learn how to shoot penalties. but on a more serious note, I think that with the Black Stars, we identified that there were challenges with the team. So the team itself needs to be revamped. There were technical challenges, and that includes the penalties, and then challenges also perhaps with some aspects of management. So together with the GFA, the technical committee, and all other stakeholders, they've already brought a report which we are studying. We'll look at it and then fashion a way out so that we can qualify for the World Cup and perform better than we have ever performed.
What do you make of the minority working outside?
Well, I leave that to Ghanaians to judge.
Do you think it had any impact on the president's presentation?
Oh, no, absolutely not. The president did a fantastic presentation. You saw it. The content was solid. The delivery was solid. And we're here discussing it. We will discuss it. If some people decide that they will be irrelevant, it's up to them.
Were you satisfied with the issue that you had to say concerning the energy crisis?
Yes, because these are measures which are already in place. They are measures that we've been putting in place, but they have not crystallized yet. And so it's not as if he's just saying something out of the ordinary, or he's saying something that he just thought about. There are measures which the government had put in place, and we were rolling them out. It's only unfortunate that we had this challenge with the gas pipeline. That is the reason why we're in this crisis. Otherwise, we wouldn't have had this crisis. But beyond that, there are other measures being put in place to ensure that in the short, medium to long term, we deal with this problem permanently. And I believe in the president's pledge that he will deal with the energy crisis, he will deal with the water shortages. I have absolute confidence in the president that it will happen.
One last question, Honorable.
And that was the Minister for Sports, Elvis Ifriankra, with absolute confidence in President Mahama. Now, in his address, President Mahama outlined the successes and the future of the Savannah Accelerated Development Authority.
The Savannah Accelerated Development Authority has agriculture as a key part of its agenda. In the spirit of public-private partnerships, SADA has facilitated partnerships to establish 3 agro-processing factories in the north: a shea nut processing factory at Buipe, a rice mill at Nyankpala near Tamale, and a vegetable oil mill at Tamale. The produce buying company is currently raising the capital to begin shea nut purchases to feed the factory at Buipe. Mr. Speaker, this will benefit tens of thousands of poor women in the Savannah zone of this country. Outgrowers are being registered to meet the requirements of these factories. In 2011, SADA supported 6,000 farming families. Last year, SADA registered and supported another 16,000 farming families with farm inputs, including fertilizers, tractor services for land preparation, and other such incentives. SADA, through its greening of the North Savannah Ecological Zone, has partnered with a private sector group to grow and nurture 5 million trees in the next 24 months. This is providing 5,000 jobs across the northern segment of our country. Mr. Speaker, based on the example of SADA, I directed a team in my office and the NDPC to work closely with the 2 regional coordinating councils and relevant stakeholders towards establishing the Western Corridor Development Authority, comprising Western and Central regions. The implementation framework for the authority is currently under development.
Now we're going back to Parliament, where I understand that Murtala Muhammad is being spoken to right now.
That will not be permanent. The simple question I ask is that if the budgets that the President, the Minister of Finance, in some few days or weeks' time will be presenting, the budget is going to talk about agreements and loans. The budget is going to talk about projects that are going to be executed. And those projects that are going to be executed in the 2013 are going to be permanent projects for the people of this country. They are members of various committees. And those committees in which they are members, and I'm told they even had problems with their leadership. Some of them were vociferous with regards to committees that they were put in. They are going to be taking decisions at those committees, reviewing budgets and scrutinizing budgets that are submitted by various agencies. And that budget that is going to be submitted is going to be sanctioned by the same president. What kind of logic is this? The last time I checked, in every court case, there are 2 outcomes. You either win or you lose. It's only in the MPP's world that they expect only one outcome. And that outcome they expect is that they are going to win the case, and therefore they will not partake in any decision that is sanctioned by His Excellency the President. I have never seen this logic. What is happening is simply what they call zombie no go chop. unless a master tell them to chop. That is what is happening. The leadership of the MPP and members of parliament are sitting there, and some few individuals in the party are remote controlling them. Zombie no go chop unless a master tell them to chop. That is what is happening in MPP. No, even what they show, they live less. And I think that it's amazing. Steelers. I attended Kulkulu School in Tamale. The last time I checked, there isn't a stealer. If a child is at home watching TV and he sees steelers, what sort of English do they expect our people to learn? No wonder. A member of parliament from their side said verbal intercourse some time ago. I think the last these people are serious. People in this country.
You had the MP for Nanton there making a rather heavy criticism of the opposition MPP, even a pop culture reference, saying zombie no go chop unless a master tell him so. President Mahama has more. He says that his government will ensure that it puts in place appropriate plans for rapid development of the country.
As a developing middle-income country, there's still a lot more to be done to further reduce poverty, expand infrastructure, and provide more social services for our people. These challenges are formidable, but they are not insurmountable. Mr. Speaker, this administration will pursue rapid economic development with a sense of urgency in order to create more new jobs, particularly for our youth. In partnership with the private sector, we will expand our infrastructure in a manner that will accelerate economic growth. We will embark on an ambitious but realistic program of building new roads and bridges, expanding electricity generation to energize our economy, increase access to good drinking water and quality health care for our growing population, and improve sanitation and human security for all.
Okay, we have more for you from President Mahama, who assured the international community that Ghana will not be used as a safe haven to destabilize any country.
Peace and stability in the region, I have pledged at the African Union and the United Nations that Ghana will not serve as a haven to destabilize any of our neighbors. I wish once again to assure any refugees on our territory that they are welcome guests as long as they do not use our country as a base to destabilize the governments in their home countries. Under my presidency, Ghanaians and the international community can trust that Ghana will uphold all its commitments to the United Nations, to the African Union, to the Commonwealth, ECOWAS, and other international organizations to which we belong. Ghana will continue to take all necessary measures in cooperation with relevant international agencies to fight against international terrorism, money laundering, narcotics, and...
Now, after all was said and done, the president made some promises that you can call his guidelines for his first term in office. Why don't we listen to that?
I state to this August House that I shall work to ensure that every household in this country will enjoy uninterrupted water and power supply. I will work to ensure that our young minds desirous of opportunities for basic and secondary education shall have space in our schools and shall have quality, affordable education that will improve their career and their life's expectations. I will work to ensure that our mothers shall live longer and healthier as they perform their God-given function of childbirth. I shall work to ensure that our inner cities shall witness significant renewal in sanitation and housing. I shall work to ensure that the economic opportunities of this country will be open to all our citizens, irrespective of gender, ethnicity, religion, or political affiliation. I shall work to ensure that our governance system shall deliver the services and opportunities we promise to the citizens of Ghana. And I shall work to ensure that our citizens will assume their right to demand accountability for these services, and rights that our road infrastructure is not only expanded, but also made safer for our people.
That was President John Dramani Mahama making some very firm promises. Let's take a short break from this morning's proceedings, and when we come back, we will have more news for you. Welcome back to Midday Brief. Now, President John Mahama has appointed a number of persons, amongst them the immediate past Central Regional Minister, Ama Benyuado, to the Council of State. The other members of the council include Nana Osei Asibi, Ashanti region, Togbi Sri of the Volta region. The others are Rashid Suleimana Mahama of the Northern region, Okojiman Kweku Jamra of the Western region, David Kanga of the Upper West region, Ama Benyuado of the Central region, Edward Jaida of the Upper East region, Abraham Kweku Eduse representing the Eastern region, and Dr. Rabiatu Daniel Ama of the Greater Accra region. The Council of State members were sworn into office by the President on Wednesday. It appears the objective for the recent sharp increase in the price of LPG may not be achieved after all. Government, following criticisms that the 50% increase will force domestic consumers of the product to resort to charcoal and wood fuel, explained it was to check the abuse of the product by commercial transport operators. But some taxi and trotro drivers Joy News has been speaking to say they don't intend to stop using LPG despite the increase. Meanwhile, restaurant owners who rely solely on gas as their cooking fuel are upset about the current shortage they say has persisted for far too long.
The restaurant operators especially complained they have had difficulty in sourcing LPG for close to 2 weeks now. At the Kokote Chop Bar at Dome, the operators say they have had to abandon their gas stoves for firewood. They add they have already strategized how to accommodate the sharp increase in the LPG price.
Because of gas affected Ntino edera yebeti ansaso entiment tenakese beboka
tisi ayese usu gas ne kura na usuro odi no ansuo mo fra no kura sore na sa wo mo no ansuo adware kura na ayese akoye nse bebrese nso man mu ayeden nti to matumu ne ha adwen.
The commercial transport operators are also feeling the pinch, especially the taxi and mini Kia truck drivers. They are, however, unfazed and insist on using LPG as their main fuel despite the sharp increase and acute shortage. These drivers, whose cars are stuck in the queue, say they've been here for a week because of the shortage.
In fact, me use gas. Car gas. I'm not here too. We bring in the car by the fabric gas. Now for the gas, you be there. Since I'm there 1 week ni. You the house I want quite a fee, and I pay the big credit. Into your buy the gas is because the now for the useless.
Taxi drivers who were willing to pay 40 Ghana cedis for this 14 kg bottle could, however, get the gas for their cars. The 14 kg bottle would normally go for about 28 cedis after the increase. The transport and food joint operators are meanwhile calling for government's intervention to end the shortage.
Well, I hope you take plenty of money with you when you're going for lunch this afternoon, just in case. Now, the Minister of Water Resources, Works and Housing, Alhaji Collins Dauda, yesterday inaugurated a 6-member committee to investigate the alleged importation of expired aluminium sulfate, alum, for the treatment of water in the country. That followed media reports this week that the Ghana Urban Water Company was using expired alum for the treatment of water at the Wager Water Treatment Plant.
The committee is chaired by Albert A. Ojiri, the immediate past president of the Ghana Institution of Engineers, with the other members being Hawau Sadifu of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Samuel Kwachi Food and Drugs Authority, Frederick Adai, the Director of Water at the Ministry of Water Resources, Works and Housing, and Jeffrey Ayabli of the Bureau of National Investigations, BNI. The committee has 6 days within which to present its report. Alhaji Dauda, who expressed outrage at the report, said the law would take its course if officials were found culpable in the importation of the chemical. He stated that the government had promised to provide the people of Ghana safe water, for which reason it would not compromise on its commitment to ensure that its promise was kept. The minister said the committee was expected to come up with recommendations to guide the government to forestall a recurrence of the problem. The committee's terms of reference are to determine if the GWC imported expired chemicals into the country, the circumstances leading to the procurement of the chemicals, as well as find out if any of those chemicals have been used for water treatment. It is also to look into other matters that are related to the report.
Now, an anti-smuggling task force for fuel has been formed in the Upper West region to help put a stop to the smuggling of fuel into neighboring countries. The task force is made up of 50 members drawn from the police, customs, military and immigration services and is chaired by the Upper West Regional Commander of Police. Rafiq Salam has this report from WA.
According to the Upper West Regional Police Commander DCOP Kofi Danso Adai Echampong, who also doubles as the chairman of the task force, the formation of the task force is necessary due to the increase in fuel smuggling. He says the task force will undertake operations to stop or reduce smuggling of fuel in 5 regions.
The operation started on Saturday, 9 February 2013 to curb the smuggling of fuel or petroleum products in the region. The task force operates mainly at the border areas or communities, especially the approved and unapproved entry points for vehicular transport and pedestrians. The following are checked by the task force personnel: 4 stands or compartments of all vehicles, and B, containers with suspicious or unjustifiable quantity of fuel.
The task force, codenamed Operations Hunter, will operate in the Upper East, Volta, Western, Bonohafo and Upper West regions. DCOP Adai Champon said the operations, which started last Saturday, has already yielded some positive results.
The operation in the region commenced on Saturday, 9 February 2013, and since that time, the foreign quantities of fuel have been seized. Monday, 12 February 2013, 5 drums of diesel, 23 liters of diesel gamma oil, 8 jerrycans, that is 35 gallons of petrol, were seized on Monday, 12 February 2013.
He asked for the cooperation of the public for successful operation.
Now, as you know, Joy News has been following the story of the delayed road construction at Ashaman here in Accra. We caught up with the MP for the area, and here is what he had to say about the situation.
True, the roads have not been completed. It is true. But we had assurance from the then Minister for Roads that ABCD is being done. As of today, when you go, where the complaint was centered today is being asphalted. Not only town, but asphalt is being put there. So gradually, what was not done yesterday is being taken off today. Admitted that things have delayed, but they are working on. We want asphalt, we want dual carriage. We are getting all that done. So the agitation was perfectly made, but perfectly also, the ministry is looking at us.
The South African detective leading the Oscar Pistorius inquiry is facing 7 charges of attempted murder. Police have confirmed this fact. Now, Detective Hilton Botha, who was faced with fierce questioning at Pistorius's bail hearing, was allegedly involved in a shooting 2 years ago. Pistorius, a Paralympic champion, denies the premeditated murder of his girlfriend Weaver Steenkamp, aged 29. His bail hearing is now underway for the 3rd day in Pretoria. That's all we have time for in our midday brief. To wrap up, let's go over the headlines again. President Mahama has delivered his State of the Nation address in accordance with Article 67 of the Constitution. And a running theme today has been the minority MPP in Parliament walking out of the chamber before President Mahama delivered his address. My name is Jennifer Jane Asante. This is Midday Briefs. It's over now, but we have more news for you at 2 p.m. still here on your Joy News channel. Good afternoon.